do it.
Let's do it. Wait for it.
It's going live in the groups too.
Boom. Yeah, it's in the free group, so we are live. What is going on, everybody? Bryce McKinley, Coach Sharpen. You know what time it is. Hey, I've got my good friend, one of our Academy members, Mklane, here today, and I just wanted to share some of his experiences in working with myself, my team, and the other Academy members. So I hope you guys are all having a great day. It's May 27th, 2020. Mklane, we met about a year and a half ago.
About a year.
Yeah. We met out in East Texas, right?
Yeah.
I recall we were at a roundup, and you're like, who the heck is this guy? Like, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you before you came to the REIA Results Academy, and what were you doing before you got into investing?
So before investing, I'd say I was fresh out of college, newly married. I'd been working in corporate America for about a year, and I already hated it. I'd always done like some kind of side hustle, and I always knew after I got to my degree, I wanted to leave corporate America before I was 30. And I knew real estate investing was the pathway to do that. But before I joined REIA Results, I think I spent like $3,000 worth of gurus and like training classes and stuff that would basically just teach you exactly what you can learn on YouTube after like 3 hours of looking. So I spent a lot of time just spinning the wheels before actually getting traction or doing anything really.
Tell us about that. So you spent $3,000 without ever doing anything. Like, how did that feel? Like, was that overwhelming? Like, tell us about how that felt before you jumped into our academy and seen what we did differently.
So I would say between the time that I started taking action wholesaling, between my start and coming to the academy was about 7-8 months, like complete waste of time. It was very overwhelming. My wife, we're still married through all this, so definitely appreciate her. Very thankful. It was a lot of weeks where it would be like, hey, you spent this money. Like, I'm not seeing anything out of your time that you're wasting, or you're spending more time on this business that you're calling, and it's not showing any fruits of your labor. And I think it's a waste of your time. So a lot of it was just, hey, like, hold out, let me see if this can work. Like, I'm just trying whatever sticks to the wall.
I remember when I don't remember when we first met, because I was all over the place. I was putting on an event out in East Texas, but you had mentioned just a week or two ago, like, we were out to lunch celebrating your big win, which we're going to talk about. But I remember you said something like something was different. Like, tell us how that felt like when you met my team and I for the first time before we ever decided to work together.
So what was that? That was that was early 2019.
Yep.
So it was at a meetup East Texas out in Tyler, and I actually had a friend that invited me. And so I went out there, and he was like, yeah, we're going to have Bryce McKinley and a couple other guys out there. And I was like, I think I've heard Bryce before. That's about the extent of it. And I'm in the back of the room, just sitting down, just chilling, eating a pizza. And you come around, you're like, all right, guys, like, how much value can I add to you? Like, what questions y'all have? And I'm just trying to eat this pizza. And at that time, I knew I was insecure a lot, as far as, like, by nature, I'm an introvert. And so I just immediately was like, okay, who's this guy? What's he doing? He's very, like, high energy. He's infectious. And I just was like, okay, this guy's doing stuff. And he's got the energy, he can warm the room, but it freaked me out. And so at the time, I just like, that's cool. And that's kind of how the first time I met you. And I'd say the rest is history, but it set the seed for, hey, like, you need to do something besides finding gurus and find some actual people.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate you sharing that. And it was interesting when you shared that. I was like, yeah, I don't remember that. I understand, like, working a room, but I'm glad that we had that interaction, and it was a positive one. And whatever it was a positive one. So tell everybody that's watching right now, like, what were you doing before you got into real estate investing? And then we'll talk about kind of why we're doing this interview specifically. But what were you doing prior to getting into wholesaling and real estate investing?
So prior to wholesaling real estate investing, I graduated college in fall of 2017. I was a pre-med major, wanted to go to physician assistant school, of course, didn't get in, and I was engaged, getting married like 3 months after graduation. So before I started into wholesaling, like actually diving in, going, making cold calls and stuff, I was in medical device sales. So that was my first sales job, kind of cut my teeth in there, learned how the process was, closing people over the phone for $3,000, $4,000 products. So I had some sales experience, but I didn't have like a track record or years of experience. I went from pre-med education to sales, like right into it.
Baptized you in fire, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It didn't help that our clientele was 65 plus, kind of end of life product. And a lot of our calls were 20, 30 minutes, and you'd get to build a rapport with them. And it's just hearing people that are 60, 70 years old that were like, I used to work in my factory, or I used to work in my business, and I was there for 30, 40 years, and now I've got lung cancer, or they've got some kind of impairment, and they're like, I can't go do simple stuff. And I just was like, okay, that's not how I want to live my life. Like, I don't want to be 60, 70 years old and only have like 10 years left in my life, or be on my deathbed.
So I'm glad that you said that, because at some point you decided to jump on my calendar and book a call with me. And I'll never forget talking to you. I'm like, dude, I don't know what it is about this guy, but I love his energy. Like, he's so positive and he's so crystal clear on what his goals were. Let's talk about that. Like, a year ago when we were on the phone, what was your 12-month goal and what was your why behind that?
So my 12-month goal was to leave corporate America. That was my number one goal. Like, if you look at this list back here, it's number one in my year goal. Yeah. But I knew from the get-go that it literally killed my soul to go to corporate America. I mean, I was driving like 2 hours a day, 1 hour one way, 1 hour back, and working 8 to 5. I hated it. Every single minute of it. I was like, if I see myself doing this for the next 5 years, what am I doing? It's not this. It was a hell no or yes, like one or the other. Yeah. But my why, I mean, I've seen my family members go and work 20, 30 years at a company, and they don't have much to show for it. And I mean, personally, I look at everything that I've got, and I'm very thankful for it and very appreciative, because both my parents were orphans. So for me, it's setting up my generation, my children and my grandchildren, as far as putting in the work now, so that way they can see, hey, grandpa did this or dad did this for us. And making sure my kids never have to be in the scenario where I was whenever I was 5, 10 years old, and saying, hey, where are we going to get our next meal from? Or where are we going to sleep tonight? Like, are we going to sleep in the back of a van tonight? Or where are we going to sleep? I don't want my kids to ever have that feeling. It should never be a feeling.
So your why was like generational wealth, and to be the change in the family, to be the shift.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about that goal. So you and I had a conversation, and I love that you said hell yes or hell no, because you and I both know, like, I only work with people that are serious about working with me. It's either a hell yes or a hell no. And you told me hell yes that first day on the phone. And we set some goals that day. And we said we were going to leave that 9 to 5 in 12 months or less. Talk about that. Were we able to accomplish that?
Yeah. 9 months.
Hell yes.
9 months.
9 months. Wait, what? Say that again?
9 months.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead of schedule. So I turned in my resignation on my dogs are barking. So I turned in my resignation on May 15th. So coming up on 15 days. Yeah. And I knew exactly what day I was going to leave, because I just had a massive closing like a month before, and I was working from home for my 9 to 5, and my wife was like, you can just milk it for a little bit longer. Like, that's totally fine. And I just flat out told her, like, I can't do this. Like, even though I'm working from home for the 9 to 5 still, I know I'm wasting my time and wasting their time. Like, I've got to make the jump now. Like, it's either now or never. I'm all my ducks in the row. I've had the planning for the last 2-3 months before COVID-19 hit. And I just was like, okay, we've got to execute now.
I love it. I love it. You're good. Hey, the dogs show that we're human. It's all good. Which is interesting because it kind of goes to play on my next question. So you said we set a 12-month goal on that very first call. 9 months, you're able to resign from your 9 to 5. I mean, you had full benefits. You're making a
Yeah.
decent, 6-figure wage, like in sales and marketing and things like that. I'm curious, looking back on those 9 months that you and I have worked together, you and my team and the rest of the Academy members, how does REI Results differ from the other gurus and programs that you've looked at and been a part of?
So I'll kind of set the foundation for some of the gurus I've paid for, which is ridiculous. I mean, I've spent $500, $1,000 a course on different gurus that are like, hey, we're going to show you how to make money in 30 days. And this is the process. And all they do is give you like the fluff. It's stuff that's very simple, basic, like you can learn it in an hour or two. But as far as what you got out of it, it was just nothing more than a pamphlet. So with REI Results, I mean, for me, I knew I was good at sales as far as the persona, being able to get everything there, but I knew I needed to up my sales game and sharpen up, level up, if you will. And with REI Results, I was able to get that with you. I know you're very good at sales, which is what I loved as far as what you could bring to the table, and being able to have, but was it 2 calls a week where you're bringing in someone, or it's being able to sit one-on-one with you, or bringing in someone that's off A game and they're a heavy hitter in the market and they're good at data, cold calling, market generation or lead generation, anything like that. Because what other mastermind or academy constantly updates their data and brings in new interviewees and providing more value? Everyone else sells you the packet. Here you go learn it, and that's it. And you're on your own. With REI Results, it's never ending. Like, it's constantly being updated. That's what I liked about it. I really felt like I got the most bang for my buck, hands down.
I love that. I love that. And if you guys are watching and you're wondering what we're talking about my team and I and the REI Results Academy. Mklane, I appreciate that. Like I told you, I've got 3 or 4 questions and then we're going to wing it because that's what we do best, right? Like, because you never know what a seller's going to say or what a buyer's going to do until the deal's actually done. And so we learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I love that you shared that, because that's exactly what I was hoping for in a program. If I were to join a program, like, I want consistency, I want growth, and I want outside influence. Like, I don't want it all to be about me. And so I love that you shared that. I'm curious, what are some of the challenges that you faced, in real estate, getting started, things like that, prior to getting into the REI Results Academy?
I would say before the academy, it was more or less, I would say, qualifying sellers and actually asking better questions, because I was pretty bad at questions. Like, I mean, granted, you can't mess up a motivated seller, but still, I wasn't able to get as deep a discount, or I left money on the table, or my negotiations for a house that you're trying to buy for $50,000 and you got $500 in your account. So REI Results was able to help me get the questions out there, be able to take control of the conversation, being able to structure just pretty much everything to get that seller to work with you, be genuinely honest with them, and be able to make it benefit for both parties. I mean, I think without it, I would have probably still be spinning my wheels and making like small checks, like $1,000 or $500, which, I mean, that's decent, but it doesn't put food on the table.
I love that. So if someone asks you about REI Results, what would you say, and what would you recommend that you prefer or like most about REI Results and the Academy?
For me, it was building the network. I really like the network is the first thing. I've actually had the honor of closing a deal with my man, Larry Lee, and he's in the Academy. I've got some friendships out of the Academy that I honestly were like, okay, that's cool, whatever. But it actually came to fruition when I've got contacts outside of the Academy. Having that one-on-one personal approach with you. I know there's a lot of academies where they try and get 2,000 students or 5,000 students, but you're still able to keep that one-on-one personal level where We can interact with you. We can joke with you, and you're very accessible. That's almost the hardest thing to find nowadays, is someone that's accessible.
I appreciate that. Let's go back. So you had set a 12-month goal and accomplished it in 9 months. And with our team and the others right there in the trenches with you in the academy, rooting you on every step of the way. Like, I know that there was times where you weren't able to make the calls because you were working the 9 to 5, but you were grinding at night, watching the replays in the group and things like that, going back and like studying some of the mentors that we brought in for you. I'm curious, like, how were you feeling? Like, what were you feeling with even your wife? Like, hold on to it one more time. Like, what did you feel the moment that you knew you had the possibility to quit that job of yours?
So that you're talking that one moment that was like, all right, we're all in. So I knew in March of this year, I was like, hey, I'm quitting like in this quarter, in the first half of 2020. I think February, we actually sat down and like did our taxes for my W-2. And I was like, this is it. Like, like I've wasted my whole year. And actually in, was it May? So April, March, I made more than my whole W-2 for 2019 in like 45, 60 days. And I just was like, my tax returns show this, my results show this. Like, do I want to wait 12 months to do this? And I'm doing this part-time, like 2 hours a day. It just didn't make sense. I was like, okay, let's go. Like, we've got to do this now.
I love that you did it so amicably. Like, you gave them a notice and you planned it out so strategically. Like, we don't have to go into all the details, but you didn't want to lose out on some of the commissions you had coming. I'm curious, like, how was that last day? Like, turning in your company computers, phones, whatever that was, like, how did that last day feel, like, knowing that it was so surreal? Like, you're 12 months and 9 months and boom, turning it all in. What did that feel like?
So I actually have my resignation. I had emailed over to him, sitting right here beside my desk.
I love it.
But yeah, I texted my manager the morning of the 15th, and I was like, hey, can you talk for a minute? It was like 7:30 in the morning, and I called him and was like, hey, I know it's kind of the blue, but I need to put in my resignation. And he was like, I was kind of expecting you to do that. Like, at some point, he's like, I knew you had a business going on, and I knew probably working from home would not help the corporate job. I said, no, sir, I've got to part ways, and it's been nice. Appreciate your time, everything. And bowed out as humble as I could, and turned to my equipment and said, thanks for the time.
I love it. I love it. Dude, I'm so proud of you, man. I appreciate you taking the time and just sharing your story. I'm curious if there was someone like on the fence or maybe thinking about hiring a coach or a mentor, like, who would you recommend the REI Results Academy to, and what would you tell them?
So, I mean, I would recommend REI Results to anybody that feels like they've been spinning their wheels for the last couple of months, or they feel like they're not really getting any traction, or they've got someone that's really investing time or education to them. If you're on the fence, you're trying to get your first deal, you're trying to get traction and get where you're consistently closing deals, because that was the thing for me, is I wanted to be able to close deals consistently month after month to make it sustainable. So if you're looking for an actual business to take off with and take the tools that the academy gives you and the teaching that BRYCE has, and put that in your tool belt to go make some money, some life-changing money for your family, why are you waiting? Go book a call. The worst thing you can lose is like 20 minutes.
I love it. I love it. I love that answer, and I appreciate that. I wouldn't have said it any better, and I couldn't have asked for any better testimonial. And so I appreciate you taking the time. It was important to me, and so I know that we've had a lot of great exchanges. I'm curious, at the end of the day, like, if there was one thing that stood out at you over the last 9.5 months of us working together, my team, even with the ebbs and flows and changes that we've had on the backside, you guys have been so diligent in knowing that we're going to continue to bring value even when things have to change and shift. Like, what has been your most memorable or favorite moment out of the last 9 months working together?
It's hard to highlight like exactly a favorite moment. I mean, for me, it was celebrating me leaving my W-2. But overall, the consistency from the academy. I know, of course, like you said, there's been times where it's like, hey, what are we doing here? Like, we need help on this, Bryce. Like, this just changed our market, and y'all were able to get in on it pretty quickly and be like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep the course and keep going in the same direction that we're all wanting to go. It was very consistent as far as how the academy was handled, how our issues were handled, being very attentive to our needs or our market changes or things like that, which most times you don't get that. They're like, here you go, here's your cards you're dealt, and you're on your own.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. One of the things that most people may not know about our program is not only do we give you like a video course, and we give you, the videos to do it on your own. We give you the scripts, the paperwork, the planners, the daily routines, the morning affirmations, Tuesday, Thursday calls with the group. I mean, we have a topic on Tuesday. We have a Q&A and role play on Thursdays. Like, we also bring in guest speakers. Like, we've had like Jerome Maldonado. We've had Matt and Caleb Maddox, Marshall Gillen, Nicole Espinosa, the short sale queen. Like, we've had anybody and everybody that are experts in their industry to come and add value to you guys. I'm curious if there was one thing that stood out, maybe two or three, like what would be your top three things? Like, I love this, this, and this about the academy.
My word, that's a hard choice right there. Okay,
I know.
So one, I would say definitely bringing in market experts or like area experts, because most times you have to pay for that. You have to either pay for that or you have to know someone that can get you there. But that's all included with the academy. So, I mean, you're getting value right there. Second, I would say just the caliber of the individuals in the academy, being able to lean on them, being able to, hey, I need help on this deal. Can you help me on this? Or what's your situation here? Being able to come to you and say, this is what I've got. Will you help me or hop on the call with this seller and let's get them done? Third, I mean, it just goes back to whenever you're looking for a mentor, you want someone that's invested in you. They want to see you succeed. You don't want someone that's hands off, like, hey, here you go do it on your own. You want someone that's involved. That's my top three right there.
I love it. I appreciate you, Mklane. Any last words? If there was anything that we haven't covered that maybe you can think of or that you want to share with your experience working with myself, my team, and the rest of the others right there in the trenches with us. I mean, we're a team, right? Like, even the other academy members, to be able to pick the experience for myself and my team, like, we're all in this together. Any last words that you would say to anybody out there that is looking at the academy? Maybe somebody's in the academy not performing, like, how we are, we sharpen each other, like, or maybe somebody that's on the fence and in the free group watching this right now that's like, man, I just haven't been able to do a deal. Like, any last parting words?
Yeah, so I'm gonna make it real simple on this. Is for those people that are on the fence, they're like, hey, what do I need to do? You feel that tickle in your throat and you're like, is this something I should do? Have that hard conversation with yourself and talk to Bryce or talk to some of the academy members, and you're going to have that hard conversation. Do you want to have a business or do you want to have a side hustle? Do you want to work 40 years at corporate America, or do you want to be able to go wherever you want, when you want, with whoever you want?
I like that. Get real with yourself. Have a tough conversation. And Mklane, I thank you so much for your time today. I know that, we talked right before we got on here, and you've got a lot of things that you've got to do. You've got like 500 dials lined up for the rest of the day. So I want to let you get going. Thank you so much for your time. Anybody that's watching this on the live and you missed something, go back on the replay. If you've got any questions, like, I tagged Mklane in here. I'm confident in what we do, that if you've got any questions and you don't feel comfortable, like Mklane, right? That first night I met him eating that pizza, he's like, whoa, this is overwhelming. Like, but that guy's doing something. Like, if that's how you feel, like, shoot me a message, shoot Mklane a message, or anybody that's commented down below in the comments. Like, we're in this together. We're better together. And so if you want to book a call with me, I'm going to put a link in the description of this. I'm going to leave it up at the top. If you want to have a conversation, if and only if you're serious about taking your business to the next level, quitting your 9-to-5 in 12 months or less, like Mklane did, maybe like Sammy. I'm going to have Sammy on here next week, hopefully. Sammy hadn't done a deal in 2 or 3 years. And his first month in the academy, like what, 14 transactions? I was like, you know, so I love you, Mklane. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much. And I'll have a great rest of your day, man. And I'll see you tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bryce.
Take care. Bye-bye.